and thanks for taking a look at this video. This is a bookend for the whole jumbo beds couch potato craziness. I've gotten a few questions in game, as well as I think in the comments, where people were asking, like, how do you take care of this? And I think I didn't do a very good job in the soil video of sort of explaining or detailing it, or at least I don't know that I had video of it was the problem. So I've taken the liberty to make a video and answer those questions to anybody that may be curious. And I think before we start down this road, there's a few call outs. Keep in mind, if you are going to do this and you're going to do it in the Red Barn Farm Ever After Village or Botanical Gardens, you're going to get a 15% modifier boost. So in other words, it's going to take 15% less time for this process to complete itself. Now, I have planted these in the Myth House, which does not provide any likes. So in my scenario, it's taking about 5 days. Really, by the math, it's 4.9, but we'll call it 5. And if you use the Red Barn Farm Ever After Village Botanical Gardens, it's going to take about 3.5 days-ish to conclude. So you may miss one of these phases. It just happens a lot faster. The other thing that I should call out before we start is that I will be using the 48-hour version of the gardening spells for the needs, as well as the 48-hour pest spell and the 96-hour pest spell. Now, if you don't have these spells, don't worry about it. You don't need these. You're just going to have to repeat this twice, maybe once in the Red Barn Farm. I don't know. I didn't feel like bulldozing this thing and moving it into a Red Barn Farm to try it. So maybe once in the Red Barn Farm, but probably more likely twice. You're going to have to service the water and music and pest needs twice instead of doing it once if you don't have the 48-hour spells or you don't have the energy to support those. Those are chrysalis spells. You have to do the chrysalis gardening quest to buy those. And if you don't have them, don't worry. You don't need them. I'm just showing them here because that's kind of the way I do it. And maybe it'll inspire you to get to chrysalis and do that quest and, pay for those spells. And, start using those because I think it sort of buys you a hedge from day to day in terms of energy usage by using those. Certainly makes it a little easier. You don't necessarily have to visit and tend as much. One other thing I wanted to add is that, yes, these couch potatoes are sitting in enchanted soil. And no, they do not need to sit in an enchanted soil bed. It does not make the process go any faster. There is no modifier for enchanted soil. The only reason that these are sitting in enchanted soil is because when I did the soil video, I built it using this bed. I built using the enchanted soil because, as you can see, it throws down a nice white grid pattern so that you can tell where one plot ends and another clearly begins. If you use the standard soil, it's just sort of one giant brown blob. But if you intend to do this for couch potatoes, by all means, use the standard soil. Don't use the enchanted. Don't waste the energy on it. It's not necessary, and it doesn't add a single thing to it, other than maybe some sort of optical beauty, if you want to call it that. All right, so let's kind of dive in here. So day 0, we're going to plant and we're going to leave. And by leave, I mean we're going to leave for 24 hours. So don't do this in a house that you're going to need to port back into. Now maybe at this early stage you'll be fine, but you don't want to be porting back into this because needs creep is going to pop up and it's just going to hose your energy. So plant and leave and stay out of this house. And if you want some further detail on that, check out my video on organization. Gardening best practices can give you some ideas of how to stay out of these houses that you've got production seeds in. So day one and day one, by day one, I mean 24 hours later, 24 hours-ish, you want to come back in, visit, and then leave. And if you're doing this in the Red Barn Farm or one of the other two houses, you may miss this phase where they're just little potatoes, stuck to the ground. It may go fast enough that you miss it. So day one, visit and leave. Now, if you come in on day one and they have needs, by all means, service them. Service them. If you go in on day one and they have needs, you're going to want to service them. So this is day two, and this is where the messy magic is going to happen. And you'll notice that I'm using the 48-hour spells. Now, for this 138 bed, you want to start in the middle. I know it's a little counterintuitive, but you want to cast in the middle. And my sequence is a tad out of place, perhaps. You can do it this way. In this sequence of casting, but you may want to leave the pest, the putrid bug spray, to the very end. Because what it'll do is it'll get rid of these wind chimes swinging and clouds and rain and all this other, nonsense that's going on, so that you can see those needs icons a little more clearly above those couch potatoes in case something gets missed. And often it does, as you'll see in a moment. So start in the middle. You're going to want to hit the two spells. And in this case, you've got the pungent bug spray, which is 48 hour. And then you've got the putrid, which is 96 hour. And the putrid will almost cover every one of these. Which is interesting, because normally it's 96 max. The putrid hits all of them. So as you can see down there on the left, I think there's two of them that it didn't hit. And you can save that for last, because notice how I got rid of all of those wind chimes and all that animation that was swirling around. Save it for last. So when you go to take care of the ones that sort of got missed, you want to go down to the end, and you want to leave a gap. So instead of starting at that couch potato that's sticking out, in other words, putting that circle up against the edge of it, you want to just cast it at the one that's right on the edge, that last couch potato. You want to cast it at that one. If you do butt that circle up, it's going to service a bunch of the ones in the middle that have already been serviced, and it'll skip about 4 or 5 of them on the end. So leave a gap, cast it at that. Oh, there's a may cast. Yeah. The most useless talent on that corgi. It may cast, it may not. It probably won't. Same thing down here. Hit that couch potato that it's pointed at. Leave a gap. That way it services everything. Okay, and then I need a makeup spell for these pests on the end. And I'm going to use the 48-hour version of the bug spray. And as you can see by the garden icon, there's still some needs that haven't been met. So I've got to find it, and typically this is where it happens for me, is right on this end. I don't know why, but there's always one or two that they either don't get the water or the music, they're lacking something. So I'm just going to hit this with flute solo, just, a single service. And then I am going to split. Okay, so for Red Barn Farm, you're going to want to come back in 24 hour. For this scenario, you're going to want to hang out and relax for 48 hours. Okay, so give it 2 days, burn off 2 days. And then on day 4, you're going to want to come back in and check them again and service them again if needed, if you're not using the 48-hour, 96-hour spells. And in this case, I need to hit this one couch potato with flute solo again. And at this juncture, you can harvest them if you want. If you don't, you can leave them bouncing. But day 5, you can see they're nice and bright. Everything's elder and ready to go. And at this point, you can come in and admire them anytime you want, with no worry of it affecting your energy. Now, I'll say this: if you're gonna do production couch, and I think I stated this before, I did this as a means to store these. But if you're going to do production, let me suggest this scenario where you do 2 69 plot beds side by side, and do it in the Red Barn farm. I know she's using the Island Getaway here, but if you do it in the Red Barn farm, you're going to be able to turn this over really quick. And yeah, that bed's a little wonky. I don't know why there's 2. I mean, it works, but it's not standard. 2 beds side by side like this, separated by 2 clicks, maybe 3 clicks, with the rug or the table or whatever you're using to lay down the plots, should give you sufficient space to service these one by one, either using the standard or 48-hour versions of the spells. And I'm calling it production because this is couch that you're going to just harvest over and over and over, building up your snacks or whatever. So if you've got this many couch potatoes, I kind of recommend this over the jumbo bed scenario. I mean, I know the jumbo bed looks cool and all, and you can see here that 96-hour bug spray essentially encompasses both beds. I don't know that it works specifically on 138 seeds, but I know for 120 it will take care of 120. So if you wanted to do a 120 plot bed, 60 and 60. And it's a little easier to deal with than this 138. But for production couch, this is kind of the way to go. And that's basically it, y'all. Wanted to thank you for taking a look at this. And I know this is a little late. I think I had told someone that I was going to have this out like a week or 2 ago. We're currently working on a video for either beginners or people who have been away from the game for a while. In addition to that, maybe people that are doing the level 50 elixir characters, showing how to use your dorm room, showing you how to use that intermediate need spell, the one that will service 23 plants, to sort of set yourself off to where you can rank up quick with gardening rank, so that you can hit some of the gardening milestones a little quicker. So we're working on that. It's kind of what we've been doing. And we basically took a brand new character and ran it up from level 1 to level 50 so that we can detail the entire gardening process as you quest and work through the game. So hopefully we'll have that done here probably next week. And we'll get that up so that y'all can check it out. And again, thanks. Thanks a lot. Subscribe, like, whatever works for you. Either way, enjoy.